Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, my name is Melanie. If you'd like to get to know me a little better, all my social media links are always linked down below in the description bar, so be sure to check that out if you're interested in any kind of way. Today, I'm coming to you from a new spot. This is my, kingdom, basically. I live, eat, breathe, sleep, read, all here, and it's my favorite spot so far in my entire flat. I finally figured out how to sync my watch and my phone, which means I can now sit on my couch and see me being filmed on my watch, and it's magnificent. But today I wanted to quickly pop in and do a tag. I've seen this tag quite recently and I figured why not do it now? And this way I can actually sit here with my glasses because I can't see shit and get to read the questions without looking really awkward. That's the one problem I've been having with this video, is that I look and I feel so awkward having to run around and everything the whole time. So I figured I would do a sit down and just insert some b-roll, so let's hope it works out this time around. So the tag that I'm doing is for reading habits, and there's this meme going around, or I don't know if it's going around, but there's this meme where basically there's 9 photos and they're all different kinds of chaos, and you have lawful chaos, neutral. It's just hilarious. So I figured that that meme reminds me so much of this tag, and I thought I would do it because it's something that I really wanted to do. And like I said, I've filmed this twice already and I haven't been happy with either results, so why not try it a different time? So let's go ahead and start with the questions. I'll leave the tag video below. I think Ariel Bissett is the original creator of this tag. If not, please let me know. I don't know who the creator is, but I found the questions on Ariel Bissett, and I actually watched Reagan from Peruse Project's video, which gave me the idea to do this. So the first question is, do you have a certain place at home for reading? I do. I used to read a lot on my bed, but I have since then acquired this beauty and have found that I really prefer to lie and read and live here instead. And I've been trying to separate my environments, and this really does help, having this couch, because I want to do all of my brain work here. So my working, my uni work, my reading, everything that makes my brain work, I want it to happen in this space, because that way I'm always more awake here. And when I'm in my bedroom, I want to do the fun things like sleep, game, you name it. I do like reading. Reading is fun for me, don't misinterpret that, but it's just a lot more active here. So this is active work, and that space, my bedroom, is more for inactive work. And so this is where I do all the things that I like to do. Then the next question is a bookmark or a random piece of paper. I actually have a book here to demonstrate. So I actually use bookmarks. I used to use papers, but since then I've acquired so many bookmarks from being a blogger and also working in a bookstore. I got access to the bookmarks. But basically what I like to do is I like to split everything up, and I do use a bookmark. Particularly the one that I like to use in my active reading books is this one, which is a metal bookmark that I got in a fairy loot. There are some other ones, but this for me is the best bookmark ever. It is weighted, it is just perfect, and it helps with the reading process, you know, and it's perfect. I love it. I feel so guilty because all my bookmarks are so easily accessible because they're in the jar, or they're in a glass container, or they're in other books, and they're just so easily accessible that it doesn't make sense for me not to use them. You just stop reading at any time, or do you have to stop reading after a certain chapter or a certain amount of pages? For me, I like to ideally, and I mean ideally, like to stop reading every 50 pages if I have to stop. I usually also stop every 50 pages just to kind of evaluate how I'm feeling about a book, especially since I've gotten quite, not trigger happy with DNFs, but I've gotten quite more comfortable with DNFing books if I don't enjoy them. Even if I'm 100 pages from the end, I'm well, I don't give a shit, so I'm not gonna read it. For this, I actually, every 50 pages, or the nearest 50 pages, the nearest end of chapter to 50 pages, is a bookmark to kind of help me, because it's a goal set for me. I used to be able to do 100 pages, but since then I have gotten weak. No, I'm kidding. I've just gotten a lot more busier, and my attention span isn't what it used to be, because my brain is just being stretched in a million different places. Hello, Barney. Hello. This is my cat. He's featured everywhere, and he likes to sit on my lap, especially when I have my laptop in front of me and I'm doing stuff. He's a great kid, but I'm also not someone who cares about the whole number thing, so it's not exactly 50 pages on the dot, but rather 50 pages at the end of a chapter. So I guess it kind of answers that question. However, there are some times where I can't get to the 50-page mark in the terms of, you know, I have to stand up and go and do something. So then I try to read the end of the chapter. And if that isn't possible, then what I like to do is I like to read to the end of it. Like I always have to finish whatever I'm doing. So the end of the page or to the nearest break or to like the end of the paragraph. Like I just have to finish the sort of thing. If I have to stop in the middle, my brain just like short circuits. That's the kind of like the best description I have is like my brain just like fizzes out and it's like what. Next question is to drink or eat while reading. I usually drink, and I mean I usually drink coffee, but I also tend to forget about it. I do drink, but not like I don't sit here like this and drink coffee. I can't do that. It's just something my brain doesn't agree with, and I forget the coffee is there. So I usually like put it on my table and I'll be like reading, and when I get to that break I'm like, I look around because you know, like I like to stimulate my eyes with other things, and I look at the coffee, I'm like, oh shit, and then like by then it's like half cold. So I don't like eating. When I do eat, I actually stop reading and then eat and then like wipe my hands and then get back to reading. So I guess neither, but also drinking. The next question is multitasking, music or TV while reading. I don't watch TV, it's too distracting. My brain just latches onto the TV more than it does on a book if that is like something that's in front of me. I will like sit with my parents and I'll be like, I'm gonna read this book until I'm done with it, and then I'll sit and I'll be reading, and like every couple of pages, like every couple of lines, I'll look up at the TV and I'll go, okay, that's what's happening, and I'll go back and I'll look. It eventually gets to the point where I'm not even like, I'm just holding the book open and then it doesn't make any sense. But I do sometimes on the odd occasion listen to music, and that is like very specific kinds of music, not necessarily like instrumental, but I do like listening to the lo-fi hip-hop channels, especially since a lot of them have a 24-hour live show happening all the time. And I listen to that because that way there are no ads to distract me. I'll link down below one of my favorite 24-hour channels, lo-fi hip-hop channels, if you want to check it out. So great, love it to bits. Then the next question is one book at a time or several at once. So I typically like to read one book at a time, hence I like using the middle bookmark because it actually indicates which book I'm currently busy with or like really actively reading. If I do read another book at the same time, it's either because I have like a blog tour coming up, or it's because I have a university book that I'm slowly trudging my way through. I focus one book at a time, although I might start another whilst I'm currently reading one, but I won't be too invested in it just yet. The next question is reading at home or everywhere. I read everywhere because I go to university and I tend to actually listen to audiobooks in my car, so that's like one place. And then another thing that I like to do is when I'm at university waiting for classes, because sometimes I'll be there like hours beforehand or have like a really long break between classes, although I tend to go home during that time. I give up. But anyways, I like to sit and read if I'm not trying to finish last minute work. The next question is, do you read out loud or silently in your head? So I take German Lit as a course. Part of my degree is one of my majors for the year. And I don't always understand German, so because it is my third language, my third additional, I do struggle a bit sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll read a little bit out loud just to kind of get the ring of the words, and it just helps for me to understand it a bit better. It really depends. I'll often also, if it's a book that has a different language in it, like Spanish or something, then I'll try and mouth out the words. The next question is, do you read ahead or even skip pages? So this happens really rarely. If I'm struggling with a book, I will then jump to the end and I'll read the last line, maybe even the last little paragraph, just to see if the ending is something that I want to know about. Like if I want to work my way towards it. If it's an ending that I'm like, oh my gosh, how does this happen? And I want to know how it happens, then I read. But and then that's kind of why I do it, especially when I'm contemplating a DNF. But I also sometimes my eyes just skip ahead because I'll read slower sometimes in my brain, and then my eyes are like, no, you want to read faster. But I see things and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? So I try not to skip ahead, and sometimes I will if a book is boring. So like it's all dependent on how I feel about the book. Breaking the spine or keeping it new. I'm very adamant on keeping my spines unbroken because, especially when it comes to paperbacks, it's actually not good for a paperback from my understanding. It is good to crack a hardcover spine, but because that actually helps to like keep its form. But in terms of paperbacks, you're actually damaging the book, especially if you don't do it properly, and that just like loosens the things. And I am a collector as much as a reader, and so I like to keep my books in pristine condition, and that's just how I feel. I know when I was younger I used to break the spine, and those books have fallen to pieces regardless of the fact that I've read them probably like once or twice. And the books that now that I have that I've never broken the spine on and I've read like 3 times are still perfectly fine. None of the pages are falling out. Like the glue is still strong. It's just like it's just point of view, like preference. I usually when I lend out books and I tell people do not break the spine. If you break the spine, you're buying me a brand new book. Last question is, do you write in your books? I do when it comes to my university books because that's just it's easier for me to understand and study the text that way. But when it comes to my personal books, I don't at all. I don't like doing it. I barely even highlight or underline. If I do, it's like in pencil. But I used to dog ear my books of my at like certain scenes that I really enjoyed. But since then, I've actually migrated away from that and started tabbing everything. So I own like a million tabs now because it's like a lot clearer to do it that way than to do it with dog ears. If I was to write in my book, it would always be on a sticky note. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you liked the different setup. I know the lighting isn't probably like the best because it's cloudy, and I thought I would just film here because I've been wanting to do it and I didn't know how, and now I know how, and I'm so proud of what I've accomplished. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and please tell me some of your pet peeves when it comes to books or what habits you have whilst reading, and I'll see you in the next video.